So the thing that would be what you would use would be these three.
Okay, my name is Jason Blank-Engel. I'm with Sunrise Engineering, and we have here with us Aaron Everett from Sunrise Engineering. We have Matt from Civco Engineering and Stephen from Civco Engineering as well. We're here to present on the Duchesne County Trails Master Plan. That process is going on right now. This Duchesne County Trails Master Plan, members of the community in Roosevelt are familiar that Roosevelt City has been doing their own master plan updates the past few months, and included in that is recreation. This plan is countywide, and what this is funded by the Transportation Alternatives Program, or TAP. That's federal dollars that are used to fund trails and trail projects along transportation corridors for the state. And so UDOT is administering this funding. 93% of it's coming from UDOT through this TAP funding. And then the Duchesne County Special Service District number 2, the Transportation District, is coming up with the other 7% of the funding to pay for this master plan. So Sunrise Engineering and Civco Engineering are partners on this project. We are working closely with UDOT and the Duchesne County Transportation District to put together this plan for the county. We also have support from different agencies, including Planning and Economic Development, the Duchesne County Trails Committee. We worked with them. We're working closely with them. Badlands Trails Committee, Backcountry Horsemen, Bike Utah, Utah State Parks, Bureau of Land Management, Forest Service, and Tri-County Health. These are all helping us out in this project and our project partners to help us get the best product for this plan. So what are we doing with this plan? The goals of this plan, we're looking to inventory existing conditions of trails to make sure that we have all of the information on what's already on the ground. So we're looking at sources from the state, from the AGRC and USGS. We've collected data from the county, and we've got other data sources as well that I'll go over in a minute. Once we've inventoried existing transportation alternative routes in the Duchesne County and existing trails, we're going to identify connectivity points where we can connect people to destinations. It can be in town or out of town, whether it's getting kids to school safer, with safe routes to schools on sidewalks or pathways, or it could be getting to fishing destinations or historical sites or different features outside of town. So we're looking at connectivity. We're also going to be determining deficiencies in the existing infrastructure. Civco has been helping us inventory what's actually on the ground with the infrastructure, with sidewalks, especially within a mile radius of all the schools, all the public schools within the county. And so we've identified what the current conditions are of those sidewalks and routes. And Roosevelt City's helped us out with that as well. They provided us information about all of the sidewalks within the city. We're also going to propose projects to address the current deficiencies. So once we've identified these deficiencies, we've got projects on maps, and we've worked with a lot of the stakeholders, including the partners that I mentioned earlier, the trails committees, the county, the towns, the city. We've been working with them to identify what project needs there are and then how they can address some of these deficiencies. And then after we have all these projects put together, we're going to start evaluating them and identifying which ones are priorities. Once we have priorities figured out for the projects, for trails projects, we'll put together implementation plans on how to start getting those projects going. What funding and opportunities are available, who would take lead on it, what land owners you need to work with and contact, and things of that nature, and the next steps to implementing those projects. So again, I talked about this a little bit. We're looking at small urban areas, so things in town, especially in Roosevelt. This is the greatest population in the county, and so we're going to be looking at routes within town that need to be fulfilled. Sidewalk needs, pathway needs, and things of that nature. We've worked with Ryan and different members of the community here to help identify those needs. And then the non-urban areas, we're looking at outside of town. How do we connect to public lands, and where do we go when we get there? Completing loops on public lands and things of that nature.
Can I ask you if you have a timeline?
Yes, you may. That's my next slide.
Sorry, I'll just hold my comments till the end.
That's great question, great timing. So
He didn't ask me to do that in advance, actually.
So we started this project in April. We had a kickoff with all of the stakeholders that we identified would want to be involved in this project. And we had a kickoff meeting with them, got some of their ideas, and then from April until now, we've been meeting individually with different stakeholders and different interest groups to identify what their needs are and what projects that they have on their priorities. And then in June, starting in June, we're doing our public meetings to get comments on those projects and get the public's input on this process. And then we're planning through the summer to put the draft of the plan together, to have a draft ready for stakeholder review on September, sometime in September. And then by December, we're planning on having a 100% final draft ready for adoption by the county and the towns and city for inclusion in their general resource management plan. And then we're planning to have that wrapped up and the adoptions wrapped up by April of 2020. We've been given a year by UDOT to work on this project, but we are planning to have the plan completed by December. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, very exciting.
Very good. We're looking at mainly transportation alternatives along UDOT corridors. This is that's part of the grant, is that we're looking at the alternative modes of transportation on UDOT roads. But UDOT has also allowed us to look outside of just UDOT roads. So we're looking at all trail types throughout the whole county, including bike lanes, sidewalks, but also mountain biking, hiking, OHV, vertical trails, rock climbing, paddle trails, or any other trail projects that come up that fulfill the needs of the county. We're focusing on a lot of the populated areas, Duchesne City, Roosevelt City, Mighton City, Tabiona, and Hannah, and Altamont, and Neola. And we've been talking with these specifically, and also the tribe too. We've got a lot of tribal land in the county, as you guys are aware. So we're working with these within these different areas to understand the needs within these areas. Specifically in Roosevelt, we've got a lot of different trail projects. It's kind of hard to see on this screen, but we do have trail projects identified by the Trails Committee and by the city to fulfill the needs within Roosevelt City. And I've got these on the maps out here that you can take a closer look at after this presentation. I talked that we're working with existing data. We've got data from the state and from the USGS. We've also got data from the Forest Service and BLM to help us to understand what is already in place. We've got a pretty good understanding of it. We've also collected data, a lot of data from the different stakeholders and different interest groups, mountain biking, OHV, cycling, equestrian, and hiking. We will also have available to us Strava data, Not everybody is familiar with the Strava data or the Strava app, but it's an app that people can record their hiking, running, or cycling activities. And it's commonly used, and there's a lot of really good data available to us from that. This is just an example of the AGRC data that we have. You see there's a pretty busy map. There's lots of roads and lots of trails shown on this map. So we're sifting through all of that to make sure that we have what is on the ground. We also have UDOT, the bike plan that they do. They've got plans for all of their state routes where they show places that need bike lanes or there already are bike lanes. And so we're in UDOT Region 3, and as you see there, we've got a lot of stuff around Utah Lake and around Provo, but not a whole lot of stuff on this side of the state. And so part of this plan, what's going to happen is when we're finished with this plan and it's adopted by the county and the city and the towns, UDOT will incorporate this into their bike plan. And if there are bike routes that people want as part of this plan, they can be included in UDOT's bike plan. So that when they go in their planning moving forward, when they go to resurface roads or make improvements to roads, they can include bike lanes or trail concepts in their planning and do things like widen shoulders or add a separated path bike lane or improve sidewalks along their routes where it's needed. This is the current Strava heat map that you can look at. This is also data that we're using to analyze where people are currently using trails. A lot of these are cycling routes that you see, but there's also a lot of places where people go running and hiking and things of that nature. So we'll use this data to help us to evaluate our trail projects to find out which ones have the most potential of being used. So we've talked about the timeline. Right now we're doing the public meeting process. And so there's a public involvement process. So we've got several different ways that we can get the public involved. This is ultimately supposed to be the county's plan. This is not the Sunrise Plan, this is not the CIPCO plan. This is the Duchesne County Trails Master Plan, and we want to ensure that it is the voice of the county and the needs of the county. And so we've got several different facets. We've got the surveys. We're having the public meetings. We've also got a Facebook page and have been reaching out on social media and email, doing update emails to a list of people every couple weeks. We're doing stakeholder meetings to make sure that we're getting the needs of the special interest groups that would be champions of some of these trail projects. And then coordination with the current planning efforts for Roosevelt City and the other organizations' travel management plans, the Forest Service and BLM as well. So what type of information do we need from the public? We need input on the proposed trails. We need to understand where people are using trails and trying to identify the priorities. These surveys are geared to help us to understand a little bit more about the priorities of the community. And we also have public comment forms out here on the tables that if you have additional comments, you can provide those to us. And then provide comments on the proposed projects from the stakeholders. We've got the proposed projects laid out on the maps out here. So if you would please, after this presentation, and then we're just about done, we'll finish up here pretty quick. Please comment on some of these projects. And if you identify some other project needs that need to come on these maps, let's get them on there too. We have markers out there that are color-coded for different trail uses. Feel free to use those, or if you're going to put that trail project on map, please write what type of a trail project it would be, whether it's a pathway or whether it's an OHV route or things like that. So we've got, again, like I said, there's the Facebook page that you can follow. We also have an email list that you can get on. And then we've got these surveys that you can take. If you have other needs that you need to get in touch with us, my email's here. I've got my contact information out on the desk. We also have Brett Reynolds from Cisco Engineering that you can reach out to with any questions or any comments. We encourage you to, if you haven't already, download the Strava app to your phone and record your activity. That information that you record helps us to understand where people are using trails and how to prioritize the trail projects. And then again, leave your comments or draw your concepts on these maps that we have out here for you. So with that, do we have any questions for me or for any of you? Yeah.
You said something about maybe you're recording this.
Yes,
So that we can get access to it if I want to show somebody else.
Sure.
We'll have that on the Roosevelt City Facebook page and on it'll be linked from our website.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
The other question is this the only place that I can make suggestions? So I say if we want to make a suggestion later on, we just go on the Facebook app or whatever.
You could email us.
Or email, if there's any suggestions.
You can email us, you can get in touch with us through Facebook, through the Facebook page, you can message that Facebook page and we can get in touch with you that way. Or you can call us, my information's out on these tables. Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming and showing your support for this. I'd encourage you to take a look at these maps, leave your comments, ask us questions, do whatever you want at this point. So, thank you, Roosevelt City, for hosting this. We appreciate it.
We know the map.
Go on the website.
I'll say that.